All right, folks, here we go. So today we are moving on to section 8.4. And with section 8.4, we're breaking this down into three parts. Part A, B, and C. This is where we start trig, or trigonometry. So this is, a big part of the course. So we want to make sure we're completely getting this, grasping this concept, and knowing what we're doing. So formal definition, trigonometry, a triangle measurement. A trig ratio is a ratio of the lengths of the sides of a right triangle. So again, this works for right triangle. We're going to introduce sine, cosine, and tangent. And even though your calculator just says SIN, there is no sin in math. So the sin is an abbreviation for sine because they couldn't fit all the letters in those small parts. So we have an abbreviation that we want to kind of keep in your head, SOHCAHTOA. Way to kind of help us out. So represents sine and opposite and hypotenuse. So taking a look at what we're doing there. So let's say we wanted to find the sine of angle A. So I'm going to circle angle A. We want to put in a ratio of sides of the opposite leg. So the leg that is not, neither the one that is touching is the opposite. So the opposite of angle A is going to be 8. So when we say the opposite leg, we're saying 8. The hypotenuse is always the side opposite your 90 degree. So here's your 90 degree. Side opposite of that is 10. So when we ask you to set up a trig ratio to find the sine of A, we want opposite over hypotenuse. That's 8 over 10. We're going to stick with the same angle. Now we want the cosine. That's where the cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So that's where that comes in. So a way for you to remember SOHCAHTOA. So the same angle. We're working with the angle. What are the sides in relation to that angle? Adjacent. The adjacent leg is the one that is not opposite. That is not the hypotenuse. So the only option that leaves us with is 6. And then obviously the hypotenuse is the same as it was in the last one. That is 6 over 10. So we're sticking with the same angle. Now we want to know what is the side opposite over the side adjacent. So that gives us 8 over 6. And obviously, I hope you understand we want to reduce these at the end, but we just want to understand how to set those up. Take a 2 out of there. This actually should be 4 over 5. Take out a 2, this should be 3 over 5. And you take out a 2, and you get 4 over 3. So those should be your reduced fractions, but we wanted just to introduce how to set it up. This is again the same idea. You can do the same thing with sine, cosine, and tangent. And we do that with all angles except for your 90 degree angle. You're not really going to find that there. So this specific example, what we want to take a look at here is we want to find these and then again reduce. So we're using the same picture. Now we want to find B. So I circle B. I want to find the sine. So remember SOHCAHTOA. Sine is opposite, so we go opposite 6 over the hypotenuse, which is 10. We can reduce those later. Cosine, SOHCA is adjacent. Adjacent is 8 over hypotenuse, which is 10. And the tangent, SOHCAHTOA, TOA. TOA is opposite over adjacent, that's 6 over 8. And again, you should be reducing all these 3 over 5, 4 over 5, and 3 over 4. So again, we are showing a leg or a ratio here of numbers based on an angle. All right, so this one right here, we want to find sine and cosine and tangent of L, sine, cosine, tangent of N, and says express each ratio as a fraction and decimal. Express each ratio as a fraction and decimal. So how, again, I start this is I would start with sine of L. So again, remember SOHCAHTOA. I'm going to circle L. There's L. Sine is opposite. So what side is opposite? That's the one that it does not connect with. 8 over what is the hypotenuse? Always opposite your 90 degrees. So that's 8 over 17. Cosine of L. Cosine of L is adjacent over hypotenuse. So that's 15 over 17. And tangent of L is opposite over adjacent. so 8/15. Okay, and then when it says to find the decimal, you're just basically taking 8 divided by 17. That gets you a decimal of about 0.47. 15 divided by 17 on a calculator is about 0.88. And 8 divided by 15 on a calculator is about 0.53. So I kind of like to separate these two. Now I want to go into n's, so sine of n. Sine of n. So let me erase what I did here in blue. Now we want to go to angle n. So here's angle n. So with angle n, we want the sine is the opposite. So what is opposite? Angle n is 15. Hypotenuse is still the same, 17. Cosine of n is adjacent, so that's 8 over 17. Tangent of n is opposite over adjacent, so 15 over 8. And you should start to notice that we get about the same thing. So here, wherever you see 15 over 17, that's still the 0.88. 8 over 17, that is 0.47. And 15 over 8 is 1.88. So that is what they're looking for. This is kind of your formal answers here too, but kind of walk you through how to do that. So that's setting up a trig ratio of sine, cosine, and tangent. And then that's just kind of what we're working on the rest of the notes. A couple more here, just walk you through. Express sine as L is a fraction decimal nearest hundredth. Again, they walk you through how to do it. So circle L, sine is opposite, 12 over the hypotenuse, 37. I think next slide is the cosine of L. So again, still with L, cosine is adjacent, 35 over 37. And the last one is tangent. Here's L, opposite over adjacent, 12 over 35. So now in this example, I want you to find the sine of A. And actually, instead of just that, let's find everything. So let's find sine, cosine, tangent. So sine of A, here's A. So opposite is going to be 12. Hypotenuse is 20. The cosine of A, cosine is adjacent, so 16 over 20. And tangent of A is opposite, which is 12, over adjacent, which is 16. Now let's use the other angle, angle B. So sine of B, opposite of that is 16. Hypotenuse is still the same, 20. Cosine of B is adjacent, so 12 over 20. And tangent of B is opposite, which is 16, over adjacent, which is 12. And then obviously you would reduce all these. So if they were asking you to find the sine of A, which was right here, you would take out a 4 out of these, and you get 3 over 5. So your final answer for this question should be B, 3 over 5. But again, just reviewing how to find all of these. Last section here is really just pure calculator work because we have to kind of step you out along the way. This is just plugging in your calculator. Make sure you are in the correct mode, so degree mode. In some calculators, you hit 57 and then you punch in sine and then it does it for you. Some of them you go sine 57, hit equals, and these are all things that you should be getting for decimals. So just double check to make sure you know how to do calculator work and make sure it's in degree mode. So hopefully that works out for you. Homework from this section will be a worksheet. Great job.